Okay, we're good to go, guys. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order and stand for the singing of O Canada. Okay, record of attendance, Linda. Go ahead.
Your Worship, Councillor Dennis is not able to be with us this evening. She has sent her regrets, and as some of you know, she's been under the weather all week. I think it would be appropriate to grant her leave for her absence this evening. And the reason that's important is that if you miss 3 consecutive council meetings without leave, then you forfeit your seat. And I think given her situation, I think it's appropriate to grant her that leave on this occasion.
Certainly. So do we need a motion? Okay. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay. Record of attendance. Declarations of conflict of interest. Anyone? Go ahead,
Your Worship,
Deputy.
under additions, 10A, Municipality of Yarmouth Argyle Home Support Services Agreement, I am the new chair of that committee, so I'll be recusing myself from my seat when that comes up.
Okay. Your red button on the left. There you go.
Your Worship, I'm Solicitor and Counsel for the entity referred to, and I'll be declaring a conflict in relation to that matter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So when that issue comes up, when that matter comes up, then the two of you can excuse yourselves and we'll come find you. Maybe. You hope we'll come find you. You good? Sure. Okay. All right. Approval of the agenda. Any additions or deletions? So we have 8B, recommendation from Planning Advisory Committee. There was an extra one there. And 10A, Municipality of Yarmouth, Yarmouth Argyle Home Support Service Agreement. Is there anything else? Okay. Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Approval of minutes. Town Council, January 12th, 2017.
So moved.
Moved by Deputy. Second, Councillor Cleveland. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Town Council, January 23rd.
So moved.
Got that, Linda? Okay. Moved. Can I have a seconder? Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Committee of the Whole, January 26, 2017.
So moved.
Moved by Deputy. Second. Second by Councillor Hood. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And Town Council, no, that was a Committee of the Whole. Town Council, January 26th.
So moved.
Moved. And seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Do we need to move anything tonight? Or are we good? We all right? Okay. New business, Nova Scotia Rural Communities Foundation, Rural Vitality Grants Program. Go ahead, CAO.
Your Worship, this is kind of an interesting opportunity to leverage some money from a couple of, well, I guess, provincial and federal level. You don't necessarily need to make a decision on this tonight, knowing that your grants to organizations process is underway. But perhaps if we can conclude that at the Committee of the Whole in 2 weeks, there may be an organization that becomes apparent to you that you want to take your grant and deal with it in a different way to help them leverage the money up to a greater value. So just food for thought.
Okay. Anybody, any discussion on that point? Okay. Were you going to say something, Councillor McLeod? Go ahead.
I looked at that earlier. How will that work, Jeff, do you think, or is it, I don't mean to challenge, it's an opportunity. Who would be eligible for?
So when I read this, I see that you have to be a charity. It's kind
Yeah.
of vague what it is you're actually doing.
Yeah.
I've read it a few times, but, we look through the grants to organizations. One might pop out as somehow meeting their criteria, but the basic premise is that if council feels that there's a group in our community that is looking to do something that sort of fits in with their theme, we could nominate them, commit the money, then the group has to make an application. If they're successful, the Nova Scotia Rural Communities Foundation provides an amount of money.
Yeah.
Then it's matched up again against some federal money from the 150 Anniversary Fund, and then the group itself has to have matching funds. So they could convert, in an example they show in their letter, $4,000 of their money could become $8,000 through a
That's
couple of
right.
partnerships.
So would we advertise that somehow?
I think
We
it's a
ha- we have-
nomination process
It's
from
yeah.
council, and because you have to put the money in first, you
Yeah.
have to make the commitment. I think the grants to organizations process is already in place. You've got applications from dozens and dozens of organizations. There may be one within that would save us
That's-
going out another time, but you might be able to find one in there that could fit in.
So I might have a favorite one, is what you're saying. So when we meet to,
Yeah, when we sit
Yeah.
down to do that at committee of the whole, we can have a discussion if you think there's one that fits.
thanks a lot, Jeff.
Councillor Hood?
There's a important caveat at the end of it. I think they indicate that at max, there'd be one project for each municipal unit. So it is significantly limited if that's the case. And it indicated that if they ran out of money, there might be less than that.
Yeah.
I don't have my agenda or my file with me, but I got,
No, you're right, and I'll tell you what, it says, RCFNS will try to fund as many projects as possible with a maximum of one per municipality or band. However, the number of projects funded may be limited by the overall amount that's available. It's that photographic memory. I wish I had it. So, yeah, okay. Good? So we good on this, everyone? Sidewalk encroachment request. CAO?
Your Worship, we have a business owner and a growing business owner who's looking to repurpose a building on Main Street. Part of the repurposing requires a change of use under the National Building Code, and when that happens, the accessibility standards kick in, and it's a challenge with this particular building. So the engineer has worked with the owner, and they've come up with a concept for a ramp that would encroach on the sidewalk, and the engineer is recommending that this is probably the only way to facilitate this at this time. It is a wooden structure that would be put in place, so it would be removable if further renovations gave rise to a better opportunity. But he's recommending at this time that we grant the encroachment and permit the development to proceed, and I support that recommendation. That's for your consideration.
Thank you.
I'll make that a motion, Your Worship, and maybe to the CAO, if you can just tell the general public the building that we are talking about.
Yes, it was most recently Sandy's Gifts on Main Street, and the owner of Sip Cafe, I believe, is relocating that part of his business to a Main Street front, and I think expanding the business. So it's kind of exciting, and because it goes from a retail use to a restaurant use, again, that's a change of use under the National Building Code, and it kicks in additional criteria that weren't necessary when it went from retail to retail.
It is a good thing, yeah.
Your Worship,
Go
I'd
ahead,
like
Councillor.
to second that motion, and my comment would be that I reviewed the application, and in particular, the recommendation of the engineer. The graphics that he presented were very good from my point of view, and adequately explained what they're up to, and I think that it's a good project. We should support it. And I so move, or I so second the
Second
motion.
that, okay. You good, Councillor Cleveland, you all right? Okay, is there any more discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Grant allocation? I hope not.
No,
I haven't even, I've looked, but I haven't done either.
Well, first of all, I'm going to admit to an error that I made. It was a lapse of memory on my part. It was my belief, and I think I've told council on it for a few years now, that we have to set this amount in the fiscal year prior to the year that you award the grants. In fact, that isn't the case, but it is helpful that you indicate to us at this point how much you'd like to allocate for grants to organizations. And so I'm recommending 70,000 for operating grants and 305 for tax grants. Now, Greg, Mr. Barrow helped me understand where I may have gotten that misinformation confused in my head. What it was is when we used to do tax exemptions instead of tax grants, those exemptions had to be set in the fiscal year prior to the year in which the exemption applied. So I made a mistake in advising you in the past that the grant amount had to be set. It was confusing the exemption with the grant.
Okay? Go
I'll
ahead,
make that a
Deputy.
motion, Your Worship, but I think the other thing too, Jeff, was some of the organizations that we were granting money to when we did it the old way, back when I think 2008 and 9 when I first came on, some of the organizations weren't getting their money or the amount that they thought they were going to get until May, so it gave them a hard time to set budgets and do things, especially when they had festivals and events coming up in June and July. So that's why we kind of backed it up a little bit on that part.
So do we have a date to have this in by? Are we all right with next Friday, everyone? Okay, and Linda, do you mind sending us out just a request to have those in, okay? So, did you have a seconder, Deputy?
I think Councilor Clayton was second.
Okay, seconder. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Reports, council advisory committees, committee of the whole, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the town of Yarmouth consider investigating the cost and benefit of retaining South Centennial School as a social infrastructure.
Okay, so he's making the motion, and we're going to need seconders. Okay, Councillor Barry. Any discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Oh, sorry, Councillor Hood, I didn't see your light.
So did we say that we were going to do it on a permanent basis, or we're going to set it aside and take a pause and look at it with the possibility of developing
That's right.
it?
I think that's
The motion is to
Yeah.
investigate the cost and benefit of retaining it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all.
Yeah. Yep, good, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Deputy?
I move that communications and awareness be referred to EMO as an issue for discussion.
Second, Councillor Barry.
Question.
Any discussion?
Question.
Question's been called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
I believe the third item, Your Worship, is taken off the table for the night, or have we had,
We should have a motion to defer that, because that's what we said we would do. So,
I think Councilor
Okay.
Hood is,
go ahead, Councillor Hood.
If Your Worship, please, there were two items concerning the Ark on the agenda for tonight.
Yes?
I understand that the town and the Ark, or some, yourself and others may have been in conversation with the Ark officials. So I move that the council,
We're simply going to, I think we're simply
and
going
the
to...
Ark, I understand that the Ark and the council representatives will meet early next week, and on that basis, I make a motion that the council defer the agenda items regarding the Ark decisions from this evening's agenda until such time as discussions have been conducted.
Okay? Okay, moved and seconded, and I will say that that is item 3, and that is item number 9. So we're deferring those 2 items with regard to the ARC, so we can have discussions starting next week. Okay, so Deputy, we can carry on with number 4? Okay, we'll vote on that?
I think we have, yeah.
Any more discussion?
Question.
Question's been called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
Your worship, I
Counselor
move
Hood,
that
can
council priorities be approved.
you- Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Question.
Question's been called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary?
And your worship, those will be posted on the website, Jeff? Okay, thank you.
Good? Okay,
I move
Deputy?
that correspondence from the Yarmouth County Museum be referred to the grant process.
Moved, second by Counselor McLeod. Any discussion?
Question.
Question's been called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
Your
Go
wor-
ahead.
Your worship, I move that the town of Yarmouth support the Association of Psychologists of Nova Scotia to raise awareness of mental health issues, specifically the value of communication and personal interaction to enhance mental and physical health by the installation of a bench donated by the association and installed in Frost Park, and that a reception to be held at Town Hall or in Frost Park to unveil the bench and announce its positive use.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Question.
Question's been called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
Your worship, I move that the town of Yarmouth explore the option of a senior safety officer position and funding opportunities through the province that may be available.
Moved and seconded. Everybody's, I don't know
Looking
if it's
around.
the storm, but it's hard to, it's like pulling teeth. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
I move that the matter of the Canada 150 activities be referred to Yarmouth Recreation.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Deputy. Thank you. Citizen Advisory Committees, recommendations from public hearing, February 9th. Councillor McLeod, you want to take that?
So we just finished a public hearing in which there was 300 people here to, I move to amend the land use bylaw to permit the use of a portable open-air cinema in the C1-4 zone at 5 Hard Scratch Road. I don't... Go ahead.
Yep. Moved and seconded. Any discussion on that?
Question?
Question's been called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
The second is I move to amend the land use bylaw to update and fix errors in the urban design standards and to enter into a development agreement with 313 Main Street to allow the facade changes which were completed without a development permit as outlined in Morris's report.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. We've got reports for information.
Did you do, sorry, there's the other two.
Yeah, that's coming on the,
Oh, okay.
that'll come on the additions. Any questions for committee chairs? We're good? Okay. And
I got a draft letter here I was going to circulate to you guys to go to the Minister of Environment in relation to Lake George. I don't want to send it out without sharing it with you and getting some input. But appropriate, is this an appropriate time to, I just have the draft, I could leave it, make copies, have them put out to you later?
yeah, Linda, do you want to do that? Get copies to us?
And I'm not going to read it here tonight, it's only a draft letter, but I think I would like to have your input before I send it off.
Okay, so make sure Linda gets it, she can distribute it to us, and everyone, please, maybe Linda make a note on the email to get back to Councillor Hood with any comments?
Thank you.
Okay, good, thank you.
And just a question, maybe not to the water utility chair, but maybe to Jeff. The meeting we canceled tonight, will that be maybe the next regular council meeting that we try to get the person back again, or we might do something before that?
Go ahead.
So, Your Worship, there is an opportunity next week to, the two consultants involved will be in the province. One of them is here all the time, the other is coming in next week. So that was the next step, was find out if there was some availability next week to come together for the purpose of that, and we can deal with the letter at the same time.
I was going to bring this up, the draft letter, if we had met tonight.
Good.
So that's what, I just wanted to move that forward, and that would be good, because we could deal with that when we meet next on the rescheduled items. that we have.
Certainly. Okay, all right. So I don't need any motion there, do I? There was no motions, okay. All right, so we're going to additions. And we are at, I've got my additions, I'm just looking for my agenda. The recommendation from the Planning Advisory Committee. Did you want to do that, Councillor MacLeod?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So this is from the PAC meeting of February the 7th. I move to proceed to a public hearing in order to consider, and if deemed advisable, amend the MPS and the LUB to permit up to 8 units in total where the approval is by site planning process. Where the total number of units exceeds 8 or the number of buildings exceeds 4, the approval process is by development agreement. The approval process followed must be by mutual agreement, so this does not prevent the development officer from requiring that the approval for a proposal that is lower than these limits proceed by development agreement as outlined in Morris's report.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this one? Question's been called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Municipality of Yarmouth regarding Yarmouth Argyle Home Support Services. And 2 councillors are going to excuse themselves. Have I got 1, 2, 3, 4? I still have 4. Sorry, go ahead, CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm bringing this to your attention because this is in relation to an agreement that was entered by the town, Municipality of Yarmouth and Municipality of Argyle back in 1999 to oversee the delivery of Yarmouth Argyle Home Support Services. The notice that we received is a copy of a letter sent to the Executive Director indicating that the Municipality of Yarmouth intends to withdraw from the agreement effective May 1st, 2017. We do not fund the organization. It is not a financial commitment from us. It is simply a governance commitment. I believe we have decided, correct me if I'm wrong, Your Worship, but to appoint citizens to that as opposed to councillors. And so it is not a task, an additional task upon you for workload. So I'm unsure of the reason that they're withdrawing, but this is simply for information at this point and to advise you we'll try to gather more information, find out what the background is. I don't know if this threatens the organization as a whole, if the province will respond to this with a different governance model, or in fact there are no terms of withdrawal in the agreement, so I guess they've decided that they're no longer interested in participating in the governance. So we'll find out why and give you more information, but just making you aware of it because there may be implications, and it is a service that services the entire county.
Good. Thank you. Any questions for the CAO on that? Yeah, there's no, yeah.
I guess the question is something you can't answer because I got some information about it.
So I'll try to find that out and share that as I.
Good. Okay. Do we want to get, do you want to go knock on the door and? We don't? All those in favor of having the 2 councillors return? We missed them already. We missed them already. Welcome back. What kind of trouble you guys got in there, but.
I didn't get a word in edgewise.
Oh, my goodness.
Questions, right?
Okay, it's not under additions, but I am going to say this. I'm looking outside. I don't know how bad it's going to get. I posted something on social media today to the effect that everybody should be ready at all times to be self-sufficient for 72 hours. But I would encourage anybody out there, if you have a senior or someone living by themselves, that you can make a phone call and perhaps reach out to them to make sure they're okay, then that would be a great thing to do. And we also have, not just at our council table, but Kevin Northup's here from CGLS as well, and from us to all of you, congratulations on the Hospital Foundation fundraiser. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, it was, wow, that went through the roof, that one. Okay, so approval of invoices. Moved, seconded, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And date of next meeting will be March the 9th. And I think the motion, do you have nothing else in camera? Okay, motion to adjourn? So moved, okay. Seconded, all those in favor? Aye. Oh, Joey? Hang on, Joey, we're gonna let you show everybody.
What's the story on that, Joey?
Yep.
You got it.
Okay. Everybody be safe going home.